In this video, I'm going to share with you my full review on the new Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation after testing it for 3 days, as well as my conclusions on for whom do I think this foundation is best suited for. Hi, my name is Marisa. Thank you for coming to my channel where we talk about everything beauty and lifestyle, focusing on over 50 issues. The new Charlotte's Beautiful Skin Foundation promises to deliver instant glow together with a buildable medium coverage and long-term skincare benefits. It comes in a 30 ml or 1 fluid ounce squeezing tube with a pump. It's produced in Italy and it has a suggested shelf life of 12 months after open. It's retailed in 30 shades for $44 or 34 pounds. I used Charlotte Tilbury's new tool to discover the right shade for me in this foundation, and the tool is on her site, and the result was the shade 4N, which I'm glad to report it works very well on my skin. This foundation is a mixture of water, silicones and esters as its top 5 ingredients, as well as some products with skincare benefits. It does not include fragrance or denatured alcohol. Let me show you now the footage with the application and the results of the 3 days tests, but if you are only interested in my conclusions and you would rather skip this part, I've placed timestamps in this video's description. Let's see how the shade 4N looks like on my skin. It's good. I can perfectly work with this shade. It merges decently well with the shade and undertones of my neck. I'm going to take one pump and apply on one side of my face to see the coverage. So one pump. It's rubbing a little bit on the silicones that I have on my skin from the skincare. So I have half a pump here on the side of my face, and I think I got a light coverage. I'm going to apply the rest of the foundation on this side, but this time I'm going to use a brush. This issue with the silicones from skincare rubbing off with the silicones from foundations is unfortunately perfectly normal. As long as I can make it work at the end, it will be fine. I like the application with the brush. It's a very quick application and the foundation is well spread. I'm not seeing any brush strokes or whatever. I'm going to apply another pump of foundation because unfortunately I need a little bit more coverage. I think that tomorrow I will use a lighter moisturizer because the skin is looking just a little bit too radiant for my personal preference. As it is, I will have to set it for sure on the T-zone. I'm going to set the foundation with my beloved IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores. So this is how the foundation is looking after having set it. I like the way it looks, although it's a set look, so a slightly powdered look. Tomorrow I will definitely have to make a different combination of products because I cannot really see the finish of the foundation when I powder it like this all over my face. The skin is definitely smoother. The pores are less noticeable, but I think that is due to the powder and not to the foundation. In terms of coverage, I would say this has provided a solid medium coverage. I will be back in about 5 hours to show you how the foundation is looking. It's never a good sign when I feel the need to powder and set the foundation immediately after application, and as I would expect, After 6 hours, the foundation is looking extremely makeup-y and my skin is extremely oily all over the place, with the exception of perhaps here when I have the most of my rosacea. For the first 2 hours it looked well, powdered but well, but then little by little my oil started to come through until it reached this point. Since it's already 6 in the afternoon, I'm going to close today's test and we will do another combo tomorrow. Day 2 wear test, and today I have only on my skin the Dr. Sam's Brightly Serum and the Alta MD UV Elements SPF 44. This is a tinted sunscreen, so it has already provided a little bit of pigmentation to my face, a very, very light layer of coverage. I've also applied a little bit of the Kosas Revealer Concealer on my under eye area just to blot a little bit of the redness and bluish under eye circles. So I'm going to apply exactly the same way as yesterday, starting with one pump and spread it with the brush. I can immediately see that the foundation is looking much better. It's still a luminous one, but it has sink into the skin better. Let's apply it on the other side. I'm going to use another pump. I'm going to stamp with a dry sponge on the T-zone to remove the excess. I've applied 2 pumps of the foundation and I don't think it will look good if we apply much more than that. It will become, at least in my skin, very makeup-y, but I'm happy with the coverage that I have now. The foundation has partially set. It still feels tacky on the cheeks and on the forehead, and perhaps because of that, it has slid a little bit into the fine lines here on my forehead, but I have just removed the excess and I'm going to set with the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores very lightly on my forehead and here on the sides of my nose and chin, like this. And I have left all the sides of my face unpowdered. I have large sized pores, especially here on the sides of my nose and on the chin. And I have to say that this foundation is not the best to make them look better, simply because of its luminosity. But with a little bit of powder, I've managed to knock out the luminosity on those areas a little bit. So it's 10:30 in the morning now, and I will be back later in the day as soon as I see that there has been some significant change to the appearance of the foundation. 8 hours have now passed since I applied the foundation. I had quite a busy day. I left home immediately and I just arrived half an hour ago. I didn't touch my face. I didn't blot the oil or powder it again. I walked in the cold air for about 20 minutes and I think I wore for about 4 hours a mask. So taking all that in consideration, definitely the results of today's test are much better. As you can see, my skin is very oily on the T-zone and the foundation has disappeared a little bit on my chin and on the sides of my nose. And also here, a little bit on the cheeks, not completely, it's still there, but it has faded a little bit, and I would imagine it was because I wore for so long my mask. But it has not set on my fine lines of the forehead or here on the sides of my nose. So I'm going to blot it. And powder it once more. And I think now my face looks decent until I'm ready to take everything off and go to bed. One thing is very clear for me. I think this is a foundation that, as long as my skin remains combination as it is now, I will never be able to wear in summer, for instance. What I still want to test is to see if this foundation is one of those that I can wear at night when I don't have to wear sunscreen, and therefore the products that I apply before the foundation are even fewer. So that is my goal for tomorrow. Today I've only applied a very light layer of my Dermatica moisturizer, and as concealer I have the Dior Forever Skin Correct in the shade 2WP. Let's go now to the foundation, and I'm going to apply it exactly the same way as I did yesterday, one pump for each side of my face, and I'm going to distribute it with the brush and pat it with my fingers. Or a sponge, let's see. This foundation sets pretty quickly, so definitely doing one side of the face at a time is the best way. One side of the face done, and I have still a lot of the pump here. So I think one pump will probably be enough. I'm going to stamp the foundation with a dry sponge. I'm going to apply a little bit more on the areas that I need the most. That is here, where I have my rosacea. In terms of application, today was by far the easiest day because I had less amount of products, different products below the foundation. The Dermatica moisturizer is not really a silicone heavy moisturizer. The foundation spread very easily. There was no rubbing off near the hair or here on the sides of my jaw. And you can feel that the elasticity of the foundation disappeared as it dries a little bit, but my face still feels tacky. Let's see how long it will stay this way. My day is going to be again mainly outside home, a very mask heavy day. So this foundation is going to have once more a very heavy duty wear test. As you could see by the footage and results of these 3 days, it was not easy for me to wear the foundation, and even stripping my skincare to a bare minimum and not using sunscreen, the foundation becomes oily very quickly. I'm wearing the foundation today, and as you can see, it's looking on oily around the sides of my nose, on my forehead, and a little bit on the chin, and I only applied as skincare today one pump of my Dermatica moisturizer. I didn't apply any sunscreen. And I have already powdered it 3 times. So on my skin, in terms of wear time, the maximum that I can get is 5 to 6 hours at its best. Therefore, if we look at the claims, for me, on my skin, does the skin get hydrated? Yes, it seems so. Does my skin look plumper and smoother? No, not really. If those claims were true on my skin, I wouldn't see that much texture. Does my skin look brighter? Well, I believe that is a claim that can only be proved by long-term wearing, but the only immediate effect that I can see is that the medium coverage really evens out the pigmentation. So in that regard, the skin looks a little bit brighter. So in terms of claims, I can only say that in my experience, a luminous foundation does not ever make pores look blurred out or smooth out. On the contrary, and the beautiful skin foundation is not an exception for that. So in resume, for whom do I think this foundation is best suited for? The answer is easy. If you have normal or dry skin, I think you will probably like this foundation very much. Independently, if you have a young or a mature skin. If you have a combination skin, it's going to depend on your personal preference. If you like foundations with a little bit more luminosity and you don't mind that luminosity will highlight any possible texture that you may have on your skin, then possibly this one will be good for you and you will enjoy it. On the other hand, if you prefer a more natural matte look to your skin, with your pores a little bit more blurred out, then I don't think this one is for you. And if you have oily skin, I would suggest you to skip it. Regarding my own personal preferences, I like foundations with a soft, natural finish, a skin-like finish, and I knew from the marketing photos and videos and also from the brand's aesthetics that this foundation was probably not going to be for me. Nevertheless, because I'm such a huge fan of some of the products from Charlotte, I had to give it a try and test it out. Unfortunately, as I was expecting, I don't really appreciate the way this foundation feels on my skin. It always remains a little bit tacky, which really is not comfortable for me. And most importantly, I don't really like the way this foundation enhances my texture here on the sides of my face and the pores on the sides of my nose, on my chin and on my forehead. And in order to maintain the luminosity and my natural oils under control, I have to apply powder several times during the day, which after the second time makes the foundation start to look very heavy and very makeup-y. So sadly, although I did try my best to make this foundation work for me, it really doesn't. But because I'm very stubborn, I will probably give it another try in the summer months when my skin is at its best, at night when I don't have to use sunscreen. Hopefully, I will get a better result then. I will give you feedback on that as well on my Instagram. And this is it. I hope you have enjoyed my video and found my review helpful. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Also, if you like foundation and concealers reviews, you might want to take a look at my playlist that I've linked here on the cards below on the description of this video and also at the end card. I would like to thank you very much for the time that you have just spent with me. I really appreciate it and appreciate you. And until next time, bye!